to my mess. Today I thought I'd share with you the crafty goodness I'm creating for a Father's Day card. So I got started on some of it. I'm using a layout that I came across from joining the Scrapbooking Fun Summit that recently happened here in June. I'll link some information below. You might be able to check out their lives, even though the summit's over. Maybe even get on their wait list for the next one that is coming up here in November. This layout was from a speaker by the name of Cindy. Hold on one moment. Sartain, Sartain. If I have any information for her, I will link it below. I believe she was using Dare to be Artsy type products and maybe even some layouts. So I snagged one from her. That's where this one came from. But I went with more of a tea theme from some of the tea papers that I'd recently bought. That's where this polka dot pattern, this blue pattern came from. This is gold poster board, actually, because I'm a little thrifty. Okay, El Cheapo. And this way I can get some shiny paper without having to spend too much to make sure I really want to use shiny paper or not. And remember that fun over-splattered background? Well, over-splattering that I did for a previous craft roulette card, and this one happened to get in the way. Well, here we go. Found a way to use it. This is from a shop in Etsy. Let's see, I believe it's Crafty Jewels Designs. I'll link it below, of course. But this was a coffee and cream type set, so a lot of their papers are various swirls. There's like 20 pages, and well, after a while they start to look alike to me, so I just printed off 3, and I can tell that they were all different. Let's see, I think it went that way originally, maybe, or something like that. So I'm just using that as a background layer because, yes, it was probably deemed more for coffee, but we all know hot chocolate and tea can be that brown type color as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and layer that up. Basically, the layout had it more like a banner that maybe you might make a cluster and put this cluster, pre-made cluster that you were making either on a card or on a scrapbook layout. Since I'm doing a card, I thought, well, that's pretty darn perfect. I was going to pair it with this yellow polka dot paper, this blue paper, which does remind me of China, which I thought went very well since it's a teacup. I have an older diamond press set. It was called Slimline Shaker. Beautiful. Play on words and some lovely little images. They just had this plain set in there that had the teacup, or I guess it could be coffee cup or hot chocolate cup or whatever beverage you might want to drink out of a cup. So I stamped that in some Midnight Snack Simon Hurley ink. I thought about trying Uncharted Mariner, but the color, according to the lid color, just wasn't quite right. So I thought Midnight Snack was in my stash, what I had that was close. I did use Uncharted Mariner Distress Glaze, embossing glaze, for the emboss technique around there. I thought that added a neat little detail. For the tea that was in the cup, I first started with my Distress watercolor pencil in tea dye. It looked more like iced tea and maybe not the tea that my father might drink. So I put it in a little gathered twigs, and that seemed to darken it up enough to my liking. The coloring, I just used my watercolor brush so far. And this was done mainly with just using different shades of Midnight Snack. Smushing out the ink pad. I do really use my Misty, the top of it, as my, I guess, palette, you could say. And so I went ahead and did that. And this lighter color for the saucer, same thing. And on a whim, I decided to try that with the Uncharted Mariner. And this was the shades that I got, a little lighter, a little darker. And I didn't like how that paired exactly with that. I thought it was too much of a difference. The Midnight Snack, after watercoloring it, it's close, but it's not perfect, but that was okay. I thought it stood out enough. So now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to die cut that. I like to tape down what I'm using. I usually always have leftover bits of washi tape that I don't like to use, as well as this was some mint tape. I was using it as a mask the other day for some clouds that I was doing, and so I just kept those and just used the scrap little pieces as necessary. Let me go ahead and die cut that. I do use my diamond press marquee machine here over to the side. This one I bought off HSN back in 2020. They still have it available on HSN. Diamond Press does not have this one on their website. Will they ever? Sure, perhaps someday. But as of right now, no. But I'll put a link for you in case you're interested. It's about a 4 something opening. I'm trying to look for my ruler. Can't find the one I was using. But this plastic plate is just over 4 1/4, so things are about 4 inches, maybe 4 1/8 really work well through here for some of the small stuff. I do have a couple bigger die cutting machines as need be. Okay, liking that. Now for the sentiment, of course, I had to go a little on the punny side. I went with "You are Tea-rriffic." And then on the inside, I can put something for Happy Father's Day. I got the Tea-rriffic set. If you recall a haul that I had done previously, this was a set from Crafter's Companion called Tea for Two. It has lots of different tea type things. Some are a little punny and some are, you know, just sweet. Tea equals a hug in a cup. I like that one too. May have to do something with that one, but let me just clean up a little as I go. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I don't. As you could see, the mess that was started at the beginning of this video. Not sure that it's getting any better, but hey, you do what you gotta do. Okay. I do have 5 out of the 6 Tim Holtz watercolor pencil sets. So far, I have kept them in the set of how they originally came. Once I do get that 6th set, I will go ahead and put them in a rainbow type order like many people do, because I do really like these tins. And I could see maybe putting all the greens in one and all the blues and putting all the pinky reds together. I think visually that will help when going to use them. But since I've got one more set left to collect, I'm going to wait until I get that set. It being June and birthday month, hey, let's get hubby's attention. Maybe I might be able to get that as a present. If not, no big deal. Now, this is a rule of thirds guide that I had printed out. Cathy Zielske talked about it, and she had one available. If I was able to obtain the T-square ruler that Amanda from Pear Blossom Press has put out, this would easily be achieved with that as well. But basically, I took a piece of transparency film that I had in my stash, cut it down to an actual A2 card front size. Now, you could do this a little bit bigger if you wanted to line the edges, say, in cardstock or washi tape. That way you could easily find it or have a place to hold it. But I liked just the card front size. NB Cards has talked about doing this as well, but I believe her measurements were a little more for like 4x6 size. Not a bad card size, just I don't have a lot of card blanks for that. So I went with the typical A2. Cathy Zielske also has one for a 5x7. I'll make sure to link below. But basically, I cut out the transparency. I laid it over top of the pattern that I printed just from copy paper. And took my alcohol marker and went across so I could have the grid. I know it's a photography type thing, but I thought, well, a lot of people are good at that. I may not as much as I'd like to be good at it. So I figured, well, it's just another tool that was cheap enough to add to my arsenal, and I'll just keep it right here off to the side so it's easily available for me, and we'll kind of go in that direction. If you have any questions about that or any tips about rule of thirds, do let me know. I'd be curious to see how you craft with that. This coffee and cream digital paper that I printed out, I printed it on just my normal, the 80-pound cardstock. That's my jam from Hobby Lobby. And I think it printed pretty good. There might be some photo type paper I could probably print it on. And I think depending on the card that I'm doing, that would be pretty cool. Or, you know, we'll just roll with it, right? So I know rule of thirds, you know, okay, we've got this line here. I kind of, oh, hey, look at that. It almost fits exact. Can you see that? That was not planned. That is a happy accident. So I kind of dig that. I may just do that. Oh, stay tuned. Okay, now these, the one sketch I was following, it was somewhere, it was something about like this, give or take, and it kind of had it in this regard. Let's see, give or take, I think yeah, something similar to this, and that kind of fits. I suppose you got some down here and then some up here. Gosh, that may work out okay. So if this were, okay, how precise does one want to be? Okay, so we like that, and oh, I don't know. Get enough here to match that over there. Hey, this grid is already working out pretty well, so that's kind of cool. So we'll just do a temp tack down here, making sure maybe oh, sorry if my head got in the way. Okay, that looks pretty straight enough, right? I don't need it to be perpendicular, this, that, or the other, but I suppose maybe looking on the back, close enough, right? It's not like my dad's gonna get out a ruler or anything and start measuring or critiquing that bad. I mean, he's dad. Press that together. We'll get this tacked down a little bit better. Okay. Let that sit there for a sec. Tea-rriffic. Okay, so, oh, but we want it this side, of course. Okay, that looks pretty good, kind of centered there. So how can we do this so it will stay in place? All right, maybe a little pencil mark might be good. I'll put it just to the inside here, so this way I can kind of remember. Okay, we'll try that, see if that works. I mean, I'm going to cover up the pencil mark anyway, right? Okay. You guys have any crafty, thrifty ideas or things that you do to help maybe save on some of your craft supplies? Let me know. I'd be interested. Maybe I'll give it a try. Okay, we've got one side that's probably hanging over the card base just a smidge. No biggie, if it is. Let's give a little haircut, shall we? Cutting through 2 layers of paper there, so maybe paper trimmer would have been a little easier, but not bad. I'll go with that. Now let's see how well we got that to line up. What do we think? Hey, I say not too shabby. That works for me, so I'm gonna go with that. And we had already practiced that enough little bit over here and a little bit over here. Let's just double check our work for funsies. Yeah, I mean, look, you got that much there and then this much here. It about matches the same, so that's pretty cool. So let's get some glue here. Okay. This yellow spotted polka dot type paper along with this blue paper that reminds me of, well, I guess you could say china or teacups and stuff like that. That came from paper pads from Crafter's Companion. And I enjoy that paper pad. However, there aren't very many that patterns that might coordinate. You'd really have to put them together. So I'm learning on patterns on how to do that. Let's see. Now this teacup may depend on where that's going to go based on this sentiment. I do not want it quite that large. So I think what I'm going to do is trim that down some. My handy dandy fun little trimmer that I got a couple of years ago, and I just love this thing. I use it quite frequently. The side arrow on that, or the side slice, I guess, I like, but I think in this instance I probably won't. So let's do a little trim, a little haircut. Okay. Let's see. Let's start with that. See what we can do. I'm wondering if we pop that up just a little bit. Now this will be mailed, as my dad and I do not live in the same state, but that is okay. So those scrap pieces I just put away, let's grab those back out, grab some small scissors. And sometimes, depending on foam, I will save on foam. Because again, el thrifto, el cheapo. Go ahead, call me out on it. It's okay. I know that I am. We'll go ahead and just put these scrap pieces down, give a little lift, but without it being too much. Whoopsie. Okay, here we go. Glue, glue, glue. We should have a glue song. That'd be kind of fun. Or would that be overkill? Glue, 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 glue. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. Need a little strip of paper. Strip of paper. That could work. This is how I do it. Yeah, probably just adding some foam probably would be pretty easy. Another item, in case you were curious, that is on my wish list is something like foam on a roll type of thing. I guess it doesn't matter what brand. Either the big old 3M ones, the ones you get off Amazon. I think Hero Arts, maybe. I think I've seen them at Michael's, and I can't remember which brand's over there. But then there's also Altenew, I think, has a really good one. You know, the ones that start out that are about as big as your head, or look like a wheel of cheese, or a wheel on a tire, or a wheel like a tire. Those are kind of fun. So I wouldn't mind adding that to my collection of adhesives, but you know, someday. Now, I don't want the top of that blue to show, so I kind of want to keep it there. I may do something a little bit. I like the space of this kind of on that line there. Shall we bring in our tool just to see, out of curiosity, of what's going on? Well, that's almost dead center there, so that's kind of cool. And if that were to be somewhat straight, that's on the line. So I think that's working out, but I think I want this just a smidge smaller, so let's get in and trim. Careful with your trimmer, no fingers cutting off and all those goodies, so be safe, be safe. Let's see. Just kind of using the edge of my trimmer blade to kind of use as my guide. I think that chopped it down just a little bit more. It might be a smidge crooky, but see if we can fix that here a little bit. Just that little bit, right? Thank you for bearing with me while I craft. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, see, just that little tiny sliver off. And isn't that amazing how just that little bit made a difference? We're crafters, we might notice these things. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and glue that down. I kind of like where that's at. Do I want something behind it? Again, like that on the line. Trying to think of the spacing here. That might not be too bad. Look, it makes a little L over here. So that might be cool to put that there. Question is, do I round the corner, since everything else is pretty a sharp corner, but the tea saucer is round? Well, you know, that's interesting. And do I put something back here? Gosh, I don't know. A leaf. I mean, there's leafery pattern in this blue paper. Not sure that I do. Only because I know the recipient. If this was going to one of my crafty friends, yes, perhaps a leaf might do it. Let me take a look-see in my stash and see what I got. I'll come back to you here real shortly. Okay, y'all, I'm back. Took a look through my leafery dies just to see. This is a set from Diamond Press. I don't believe it's available anymore, but you know what? You probably have a leaf die that maybe you like that's in lots of different sets. I had the stamp and I might have a die for it, but I thought, well, the leaf doesn't really match the pattern. I kind of liked how this one was, and I thought that matched pretty good. So maybe I'll get some, I could do some gold, or I could do some vellum. Let's take a look, shall we? Let's see. Sorry, I'll step away. I was trying to get my vellum out. I do have some in a beige color. That might be fun. This came from some Crafter's Companion type sets that I have. Well, let's cut it out and take a look. One never knows. And because I'm cutting it El Cheapo close here, because I might be able to get another one out that side, I'm going to tape that into place so it doesn't move during the die cutting process. All right, back to my workhorse of the Diamond Press marquee. Here we go. Should we have some die cutting music? Have you seen Simon Hurley do the awkward die cutting? That's a pretty good gimmick. Okay, there we go. Oop, oh, just broke the leaf. Well, maybe, maybe I might be able to fix that. Adds a little something something to it, I guess. Oh, well, just keep breaking pieces off this leaf here. Maybe I could finagle. We'll just pretend that's somewhat together. Okay. Yeah, not bad. Let me see if I can find my gold. Yep, here we go. This was a piece of paper. It came in a big pack. It was a variety pack I got at Hobby Lobby per a crafty friend. She did like to use this before she started collecting a whole bunch of Anna Griffin. And so it is 11, and I'm pretty sure that's by 14. And this particular pack, you got a red, the gold, the silver, a blue, and a green. So that was a lot of fun to go ahead and use. Okay, let's take a look at this gold. Hey, I can probably finagle that in there. Back to my scissors. I believe Spellbinders has some really good gold. I also think I have some from scrapbook.com that had some gold finishes in it. So that might be fun to add to the wish list eventually once I work out through all the gold that I have of poster board. Oh, don't mind that crack. Okay. Oh, my ears are ringing. Does that mean someone's thinking about me? Well, if you are, thank you very much. Okay. Well, that leaf is staying together a little bit better than the vellum. Now, sometimes with the metallics, the hole you use to like release the dye with makes an impression on there. Not my favorite look. So sometimes I will take the end of like a bone folder. This is one I use on my Crafter's Companion scoreboard. I have an extra one. And I'll just kind of go through, I guess you could say almost buff it out. Excuse me. So maybe the gold one might. Hold on one second. All right, just had to clear my throat there. All right, I think we're starting to shape up. I kind of like the both together now that I've die cut them both. So let's go ahead and put them both on. Let's see how I want to kind of maybe almost drop shadow those a little. Pull out that little piece for a sec. That way it kind of covers up that corner and I don't see it as much. Putting you over here, again over there. Yeah. We'll use that to kind of extend that corner out, if you will. That's my theory, and that's what we're going to stick with, right? Right. Okay. So, let's see. We know we're going to stick that one down pretty good. So, I do like how this Barely Arts glue and this poster board go well together. You don't really see the glue behind it. It's thick enough, but I hope you can see that it's not thick as in terribly thick 110-pound cardstock, but it's thick enough to get the job done where it's not overly thin, if that makes any sense at all. Okay, little dab just under there for the vellum ones. They probably won't get seen too much, but you know how vellum can be a little on the tricky side. Okay, we'll fit that in kind of like that there. Okay, and because I lifted it up with the scrap pieces of paper, hey look, Uncharted Mariner made it in after all. Hee hee hee. Now only you and I know that it's just on the back, but it's there. I'm going to put a little bit extra glue on this. Since it's the main focal point, I really want to make sure this is stuck down, traveling through the mail, that kind of thing. Oh, just for funsies, let's take a look-see. Yeah, that's about dead center, so kind of liking that. And it looks like, in a way, that band is, it's almost like a belly band right in the center of the card, and then that's the focal image, give or take. And we're going to do Tea-rriffic. You know, I really want to corner around those. Just one sec. Worst case is I make another one. We're going to do the small side, the 1/4 inch side on the crocodile. Now, this is an older one, so it says We Are Memory Keepers. I would think their new ones would probably say We Are Makers. I'll have to look into that. I got mine, whoops, from Joann's many moons ago. As we all know, Joann's is no longer there. But that's okay. Oops, that got a little on the creaky side. Oh well, this may or may not have been the best idea. We shall see. Dad won't know any different. Okay, let's get these little bits here out of the way, huh? I bet y'all have a better way of doing that than I did. Yeah. It's like, you know, you're trimming your own hair, you're trimming your bangs, and before you know it, you almost have no bangs. Yeah. Been there, huh? Oh, we got a little here to haircut trim. Okay. All right. Maybe not the best, but that'll certainly work. Now that is pretty stark. Do I want that to stand out a little bit more? Yes, I think I do. Thanks for bearing with me, y'all, while this is going on. Let's go ahead real quick with some blue. Hey, look, blue. Okay, let's for funsies. Now, blue and cream, I'm not sure how well that might really go together, but we'll just do the edges super quick and then kind of go from there. Now, I did heat emboss this as well with the Midnight Snack ink, and then did some clear embossing watermark ink on top before using the glaze, so it does have a bit of a shine. Hopefully you might be able to see. Ooh, that is making that stand out, but just kind of want to see if I go over it real lightly, just using what's already on my dauber here. Just give it that light hint. I think you can still tell that it's a cream, but okay, it does still blend into that background, so maybe just do the edges a little darker. This might be going off the rails faster than I think. I mean, Hot Mess Express. Let's hopefully keep that away from the station today. Yeah, I think that's better. I like it at least, and that's important. Okay, the little baby leaves. I was going to toss those, but you know, that might be, okay, it looks like a bird. That will just be garbage. Okay, hopefully my glue didn't clog you up too much. Forgot to put the pin back in, so we'll just clear the air there. Boop, boop. Okay, there we go. That's already glued down. Let's glue down our sentiment. I'll probably just glue this right on top rather than let it also be on like foam or the faux foam trick that we used. Yeah, that's looking good to me. All right, well, there we go. I'm going to send that to my dad for Father's Day. He does enjoy drinking tea a little bit more than coffee, so I thought that went perfect. And do we corner round the edges or just leave it straight? I think I'll just, what if I corner around two of them? Start with 1/4 inch, right? Now this cream paper is like 100-pound paper I got from Hobby Lobby, so it is thicker, so I'm only going to do the one at a time. Oh, that's kind of cute. Let's do this side and then do that side. Okay, not too shabby. Let's just see if we can get through two. I mean, you hear these things are pretty durable. So let's just see. Oh ho ho, it worked, it worked. Okay, there we go. I'm digging that. I hope you do too. I'm pretty sure Dad will. If I hear back, I will pass on the news to see what his reactions were. But thanks again for joining me during this quick little craft for a Father's Day card. If you use a layout similar to this or were inspired in any way, tag me. I'd love to see what you make. And even if it wasn't inspired by this, Heck, let me know. I'd be curious. All right, I'll talk to y'all later, and I'll see you on the next one.